Arizona Senate candidate Blake Masters boiled gun violence in America down to just a simple racial issue. And of course, as you can imagine, a Republican like Masters would just blame it all on black people. And he did so during a recent, while he was appearing on a podcast called the Jeff Oravits Show. Let's watch.
We do have a gun violence problem in this country, and it's gang violence, right? It's gangs, it's people in Chicago, St. Louis, shooting each other. Very often, black people, frankly. And the Democrats don't want to do anything about that. Look at San Francisco and LA. They've legalized crime, property crime. You can't even get arrested if you go and smash someone's window and take a purse or an iPhone. They're light on crime. What they mean by gun control is disarming you and me.
So listen, first off, as we know, this is not a race issue. We can get into demographics when it comes to shootings if you'd like. But at the end of the day, it's meant to be a massive distraction from what the real issue is, which is easily accessible guns, which are then used by mass shooters and criminals to carry out death, murder, destruction. We see it every weekend, every day. It's a common occurrence in this country, something we talk about on the show regularly. So even if we just took what he said at face value, didn't even question the racial component to it, which by the way, obviously I do question, obviously he's wrong. Again, we'll get to the details in a second. Okay, so who cares what the race is? Shouldn't we do something to prevent the deaths? Shouldn't we do something to prevent people, criminals, or individuals with severe mental health issues from accessing these guns so readily and easily? No, you don't want to do anything about it? Okay. I mean, it's amazing to me how he decides to point to race as an excuse to do nothing about gun control. Nothing about the murders and the mass shootings that we're experiencing in this country on a regular basis. Anyway, I'll get to those details regarding demographics in a minute, but honestly, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. It's a distraction. It doesn't matter what the race is. End of the day, people are dying because guns are so easily accessible. That's it, that's all that matters. So the question is, are you gonna do something about it? And of course his answer is no. Of course his answer is no.
Yeah, so look, hoods are off. I mean, even the Klan was kind of embarrassed, so they had to put on a hood. But here's Masterson saying, yeah, it's black people that's the problem. There's no dog whistle, there's no subtlety, just flat out racist. You know why? Masterson and his master is Peter Thiel. Masterson, ironically, is just a servant. He's a boy, just like JD Vance.
I think his name is just Masters, right? Or
whatever the hell his name is. Honestly, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't, because their actual name is Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel puts up the money for these guys. Peter Thiel's the racist who unleashed these in the world. And they go, okay, yes, sir, yes, master. What would you like me to do, Peter Thiel? Blame black people? Yes, I'll do it, master. That's who this son of a bitch is. You wanna blame black people for it? Here, I'll blame you. I think it's you, Republicans. And by the way, I'm right and you're wrong. You're just racist. It's Republicans who say don't pass any laws because I like the mass shootings. I don't give a damn about the mass shootings. Massacres, I love them. That's what this son of a bitch says. That's what Peter Thiel says, right? You're gonna fund these sons of bitches? Go ahead, do it, I'm gonna out you. He's the funder. He's the one that puts up the cash for this bitch to go out there and go, it's black people, it's black people. Obvious, over the top, racist. That's who Peter Thiel is. That's who this guy is, Blake Masters. That's who JD Vance is. Bunch of fascists that are now just buying the elections while mainstream media is like, money? I don't know what money has anything to do with it. I guess people like JD Vance's ideas more than they liked other people's ideas.
Yeah, this is. By the way, again, I mean, you could flip it around on them and just be like, oh, this Republican candidate wants all sorts of people, regardless of race, but he thinks only black people. He thinks it's okay for black criminals to access guns readily and easily, to potentially murder you, to terrorize you. Now, again, as we know, especially when it comes to mass shootings, the predominant perpetrators are not typically black. In fact, let's take a look at this study that was done by Statista, and they looked at mass shootings in the United States. They have a higher threshold for what they consider mass shootings. We've been reporting on analysis that considers a mass shooting with 4 people or more being shot and killed. With Statista, they're focusing on some of the more predominant mass shootings that have higher numbers of casualties. So they looked at the numbers of mass shootings in the US between 1982 and June of 2022 by the shooter's race or ethnicity. And if you take a look at mass shootings, the white perpetrators are dominating that situation, okay? So they're at 68, whereas black perpetrators are at 21, Latinos at 11, Asians at 8, and then other at 5. You guys get the picture, you can read the graph yourselves. Also, as the Washington Post reported, James Allen Fox, a criminologist at Northeastern University, maintains a database in collaboration with USA Today and the Associated Press that covers all mass shootings in the United States since 2006. When asked to analyze the data around incidents such as the Boulder massacre, he confirmed that about 55% of perpetrators in such incidents had been reported as white. In some cases, race was unreported. Using a different data set that ran from 1976 to 2019 with more inclusive criteria for inferring race, Fox actually found that some 64% of shooters were white. Now, when you look at non-mass shootings, if you look at homicides specifically, they are overrepresented by black perpetrators. Gun homicides are concentrated in cities. Half of all gun homicides took place in just 127 cities, which represented nearly a quarter of the US population. Within these cities, gun homicides are most prevalent in racially segregated neighborhoods with high rates of poverty. Black Americans actually represent the majority of gun homicide victims. In fact, black Americans are 10 times more likely than white Americans to die by gun homicide. And by the way, where you see the most gun-related deaths is actually through suicides. So let's take a look at this. This is data from Everytown Research and Policy. And the majority, 59% of gun deaths in this country are caused by suicide using a gun. So, by the way, does the race matter? Does the reason for the deaths matter? Shouldn't we want to do something about it and prevent people from dying, especially from individuals who are either part of a party or are running to be part of a party that claim that they care about human lives? They want to like regulate my body because they care about human lives. Please.
No, Republicans don't care about life at all.
At all.
They're anti-life party. They don't mind all these massacres at all. So look, obviously poverty and socioeconomic status is a giant factor in shootings. But we're not having a rational conversation. We're having conversation about culture wars. Now, and it's a totally lopsided one. If I said on this show, the real problem with shootings in America is white people. White people are the problem. People would be outraged, their heads would explode, and we'd probably get banned. That's a Senate candidate that has a very good chance of winning in Arizona who says it's black people's fault with no factual basis at all, and no one cares. Outwardly racist, no one cares. No, right wing is allowed to say anything they want. The left wing is not allowed to say even things that are true, okay? And then finally, so wait, how much money did Peter Thiel put in to Blake Masters? Was it like, a couple $100,000? Ooh, that could swing an election. No, he's put in $13.5 million to the PAC that is supporting Blake Masters in Arizona. He had put in 10 initially, now he put in another $3.5 million last month. They're just buying these politicians. And Blake Masters used to be his actual servant. He used to work for Peter Thiel at his foundation, where they came up with really interesting ideas about how everything is black people's faults, okay? So he's just bought by Peter Thiel. Whenever you see Vance or Masters, understand they're just puppets. They're puppets for Thiel. But everybody's scared of Thiel because he has billions of dollars. So everybody in Silicon Valley, by the way, super powerful people, on the regular kiss his ass. They're like, oh, you're a fascist wannabe. You're the guy funding the new right who would like a king instead of a democracy. Oh, you're funding blatantly racist politicians. Oh yes, but do you have money for me? Do you have money for me, Peter? So this is the sickness in America. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.